My name is Tim Lenton. I'm a professor of Earth System Science at the University of Exeter. Welcome to my exp. Well, there are three remarkable revolutions that made the Earth in which we could evolve as humans. The first one is the origin of life. The second one is all about the creation of oxygen in our atmosphere. And the third one is about the makings of complex life forms and a second rise of oxygen to levels that could support creatures like us that are intelligent enough to reflect on this remarkable history from which we've evolved. So the first revolution is really a revolution of recycling, where the young biosphere learns how to recycle all the elements it needs to flourish and to be productive and global in extent and influence. Now, after that revolution, at least 1 billion years passed before one little lineage of bacteria solved an incredible puzzle of how to pull apart water molecules to get hold of electrons and stick those electrons on molecules of carbon dioxide to reduce the carbon down to sugars in what we know as photosynthesis. And that process spits out oxygen as a waste product. And that was a brand new waste product on our planet, but it ended up transforming the atmosphere of our planet. It didn't happen overnight, and it took some combination of strange, strong feedbacks between the workings of biology, chemistry, and the physics of our planet. But around halfway through our planet's history, so this is about 2.5 billion years ago, all the oxygen that was being made by what we call the cyanobacteria of the time ended up tipping our atmosphere into this state where oxygen became what we would call a chemically dominant gas, what we call an oxidizing atmosphere. And that changed the world forever. We've never gone back, and it set the scene for another 1 billion years or so in which the first complex cells, which scientists call eukaryotes, could begin to flourish, could begin to build more complex organisms. And it took until around 600 or 700 million years ago before there was another tumultuous revolutionary change of our planet. Essentially, we still don't, as scientists, fully understand what went on, but we know that there was a profound destabilization of the climate and what we call the carbon cycle. There were two so-called snowball Earth events in which the planet completely froze over. And there was a second rise in oxygen in the atmosphere. And all of this is somehow tied up with the origins of the first really complex, we would say, multicellular life forms. So that includes the very first animals, our direct descendants, if you like. So those are the three pivotal revolutions in Earth history that end up creating the kind of world in which we could evolve, because we have complex anatomy and we have brains that require about 20 watts of power to keep ticking over, and that all of that requires an oxygen-rich atmosphere and the eating of food, burning that food, if you like, with oxygen. It took another 600 odd million years for humans to come onto the scene, and I guess the big question to leave you with is whether humans are the beginning of another revolutionary change of the Earth, because we are apparently the first conscious animal species that is having a truly global influence on the climate and other aspects of what we call the Earth system. So a really interesting question is whether humans could be the beginning of another revolutionary change of the earth. Mostly, I think we take a dimmer view of ourselves, perhaps understandably. We recognize that we're a global force and we've created a new geological epoch, which scientists have dubbed the Anthropocene. But I think most of us harbour the view that that's at the moment destined to end badly and possibly with the end of our current civilization. But there's another possibility, which is that we could be the agents of a transformation of the Earth system. And it will have to be one in which we change our behaviours pretty radically from where we are now. It'll have to be one in which we learn the lessons of Gaia or of the biosphere, that we need to source our energy from renewable sources, and we need to profoundly increase the recycling of all the materials we need to build our future civilization. But if we can solve those puzzles, then we bring something new to our planet, and that is a kind of collective self-awareness of the consequences of our action for the climate and for other aspects of what we glibly call the environment. And we may begin to use that self-awareness to change our behavior and to shape a trajectory to a world in which billions of people can flourish alongside their life support system of all the other living things that are crucial for our flourishing. And if we could pull that off, then I think we would have created another revolution of the earth.